And there she found a small colony of Russian Jews, so she started feeling more at home.
Want to break free from debt and build lasting wealth? Discover how James tackled $25,000 in debt with strategies like the debt snowball method and negotiating lower interest rates. These proven steps can transform your financial future. Don't miss out on the journey to financial freedom. Prioritize debt. With his emergency fund in place, James knew the next step was to tackle his debt head-on. His total debt was still $25,000, and he wanted to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Inspired by the debt snowball method popularized by Dave Ramsey, James decided to focus on paying off the smallest debts first. He started with a $1,000 credit card balance. It wasn't easy about cutting back on every extra expense. James put everything he could toward that debt. Within 6 months, James had paid off his smallest debt and moved on to the next. Each time he paid off a balance, his confidence grew. It was like a snowball, getting bigger and bigger as he knocked out each debt. Just like Kylie Jenner, who built her success by focusing on incremental growth, James learned the power of consistency. He saw that small victories added up and moved him closer to his goal of becoming debt-free. Negotiate rates. As James continued his journey to financial freedom, he realized there was one more strategy that could help him pay off his debt faster: negotiating lower interest rates. His credit card rates were high, and the interest was eating away at his progress. Inspired by financial experts like Sue Zorman, who often advocates for negotiating with creditors, James decided to call his credit card companies. He explained his situation and asked for lower interest rates. To his surprise, after a few discussions, they agreed to reduce his interest rates by 5%. This simple move saved James hundreds of dollars in interest payments. He redirected that money toward paying down his debt faster. Just like Richard Branson, who often emphasizes the importance of negotiation skills, James realized that sometimes the key to success is simply asking for better terms. By the end of the year, the lower interest rates had made a significant difference in his debt repayment strategy, putting James one step closer to financial freedom. Avoid new debt. As James got closer to paying off his debts, he knew that the hardest part of the process was to avoid taking on new debt. It was tempting to buy things on credit, especially with the convenience of credit cards, but he had learned the hard way that borrowing more money would only push him further away from his goal. Inspired by financial experts like Dave Ramsey, who warns against accumulating new debt, James made a strict rule: no more borrowing. He cut up his credit cards and started paying for everything in cash. This commitment wasn't easy, especially when he wanted to treat himself after a long week, but he stayed focused. Just like Tyler Perry, who built his empire with careful budgeting and saving, James knew that his future wealth depended on his ability to avoid falling into the same trap. By sticking to his rule, James managed to keep his debt-free path clear and continued making progress toward a bright debt-free future. Increase income. As James steadily paid off his debt, he realized that to speed up the process, he needed to increase his income. His job alone wasn't enough to make a significant dent in his $25,000 debt, so he started exploring ways to earn extra money. Inspired by Oprah Winfrey, who built her wealth through multiple income streams, James took on a side hustle. He used his skills as a freelance writer to pick up projects online. Initially, it was tough, juggling his full-time job with freelance work, but he kept going. Within a few months, he was earning an extra $500 to $1,000 per month. He used every penny of that extra income to pay down his debt, accelerating his progress. Just like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who found success in many areas, James realized that diversifying his income sources was key to his financial freedom. By the end of the year, the additional income helped him pay off his remaining debts faster and put him on track to building wealth for the future. Automate payments. To make sure he stayed on track, James decided to automate his debt repayments. He had learned that one of the easiest ways to avoid missing payments or falling back into old habits was to set everything up automatically. Inspired by successful entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos, who emphasizes efficiency in business, James set up automatic transfers for his credit card payments and savings. This way, he wouldn't have to think about it each month. His bills were paid on time, and he was consistently saving. Automating his payments also helped him stay disciplined. He no longer had the temptation to spend the money he had allocated for debt repayment. Just like Bill Gates, who talks about the importance of automating tasks for efficiency, James knew that setting up automatic payments would keep him on the path to financial freedom. By the end of the year, James had not only paid off his debt, but had also built the habit of saving consistently. Automation helped him stay focused and made his financial journey much easier. Stay consistent. As James neared the end of his debt repayment journey, he knew that the key to his success had been consistency. From day one, he had stayed committed to his goals, budgeting, saving, and paying off debt every month without fail. Inspired by the discipline of Serena Williams, who is known for her relentless training, James understood that building wealth wasn't about quick fixes, but about long-term consistency. Whether it was making sure his bills were paid on time, sticking to his budget, or resisting the urge to splurge, consistency had been his greatest ally. He continued to apply the same principles after paying off his $25,000 debt. James invested wisely, built his savings, and avoided lifestyle inflation. Like Elon Musk, who emphasizes the power of consistent effort over time, James saw that steady progress was the real secret to lasting success. By the time he was debt-free, James had transformed his financial life. He wasn't just out of debt, he was ready to build wealth for the rest of his life. Assess your finances. Once James, a 35-year-old professional, found himself drowning in debt. With $20,000 in credit card balances and personal loans, he couldn't see a way out. Every month, his income barely covered his expenses. His situation felt hopeless, but one day, everything changed. James decided to take control. First, he gathered every bill, loan statement, and credit card balance he had. This gave him clarity on exactly how much he owed. He realized his total debt was higher than he thought, $25,000. Inspired by financial experts like Dave Ramsey, who always emphasize the importance of knowing your numbers, James set aside a few hours to make a list of all his debts, from the smallest to the largest. This list became his starting point for a plan. Like Oprah Winfrey, who once declared, "The more you know about your finances, the more power you have," James began reviewing his expenses. By understanding his finances, he was ready to take the next step, beginning his journey toward financial freedom. Create budget. After understanding his finances, James knew the next step was crucial: creating a budget. He had to figure out where his money was going each month. Without a budget, he had no control over his spending, which was keeping him stuck in debt. He took advice from financial advisors like Suze Orman, who often said, "A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went." James started by listing his income and categorizing his expenses: rent, utilities, food, entertainment, and debt payments. It was eye-opening. He quickly realized that he was spending too much on unnecessary things, like eating out and impulse purchases. He made cuts in these areas and redirected that money towards paying off his $25,000 debt. James set up a strict budget, following it meticulously. By the end of the month, he noticed a difference in his bank account. The budget wasn't just a tool, it was a lifeline, and he was finally taking control of his financial future. Just like Warren Buffett recommends, emergency fund. After a month of sticking to his budget, James realized something important. He needed an emergency fund. He had been living paycheck to paycheck, and the smallest unexpected expense could send him deeper into debt. Inspired by Rachel Cruz, who always emphasizes the importance of saving, James set a goal to save at least $1,000 for emergencies. He knew that building this fund was key to breaking free from the cycle of debt. Every month, he set aside a portion of his income, cutting back even more on non-essential spending. By the end of 3 months, he had saved his first $1,000. It wasn't a fortune, but it gave him peace of mind, knowing that he could handle unexpected expenses without falling into debt again. This emergency fund gave James the financial cushion he needed. Just like Elon Musk, who stresses financial preparation for the unexpected, James was ready for whatever life threw his way. Ready to take control of your financial future. Don't miss our next video, Path to Financial Independence, Steps to Retire Early and Leverage. Hit the subscribe button now and unlock the secrets to early retirement and financial success. This is your chance to change your financial destiny. Make sure you're part of the journey.